Hello, Ecofictologists. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Lovis, and this video marks my first 6 months of being on YouTube, and that is not a small thing for me, so I thought it was worth dedicating a video to. First and foremost, I want to thank every single subscriber and everyone who watches my videos, and everyone who sends me resources and kind words on Twitter or Instagram. You make my day every time you do it, so thank you so much. So in this video, I wanted to give you guys a more in-depth view of why I started the channel in the first place, why it has already exceeded my expectations, and what I'm really excited for in the future. So indulge me. First started the channel, my initial motivation? What is that? It's not a word. My initial motivation came from the fact that I am an aspiring author. And I did my research on the world of publishing, and I kept coming across terms like author platform and author brand. Agents said that even though not having a platform wouldn't stop an author being signed with them, they did look up authors they were interested in to see if they had one. Platforms were a good way to find out whether the personalities would match and whether the relationship would work out for both parties. It was also somewhere that the agent could read other samples of the author's work and get a better idea of what the author was capable of. Platforms were also a good sign of whether the author would be able to do a bit of marketing themselves. If the author had a following and a successful platform, that kind of indicated that there was a market for their book. Basically, an author platform was a way for agents to take less risks, in a way, I suppose, both in the relationship with the author and in the success of the book, and for them to get excited about working with that author. So I thought, okay, author platform, right. What the heck am I going to talk about that relates to the kinds of books that I want to write? I'm not published yet, and I haven't even finished my book, so who's going to listen to me talk about writing advice? There are so many successful YouTubers already talking about writing advice, and I would be basically parroting them in lieu of actual experience. So what could I talk about? And it really clicked when I heard a podcast on the topic of author brand. The podcast was the Pub Crawl Publishing Podcast, hosted by Kelly Van Sant and S.J. Jones. They said that an author brand should really be about what you want the readers to associate with you, what you want them to think of and expect when they see a book written by you. So I started thinking, okay, what do I want to be known for, in that off chance that someone outside of my circle of friends is ever going to read my writing? A good place to start is what I'm passionate about. Science, conservation, the environment, strong female characters, and I absolutely love reading fantasy. What about combining fiction and the environment? Could I build an author brand around environmental fiction? Of course, I was not the first to think of that, not by a long shot. But that is how I came across terms like ecofiction and cli-fi and environmental literature. And of course I became completely obsessed, and the rest, as they say, is history. When lockdown started, I thought this is the perfect time to start this channel, and I am actually so grateful that I had this project to keep me going through lockdown, to keep me sane through lockdown. It gave me something to accomplish every week. It made me feel productive, even when I was really struggling to maintain productivity in my PhD work with everything going on, especially at the beginning of lockdown. So this project was a massive plus for my mental health over the last 6 months, on top of everything else that I have learned and gained from it. By the time this video is posted, it will be my 28th video spread over the last 6 months. The channel has just over 115 subscribers, which is kind of crazy to me. The thought that more than 100 people not only want to watch my videos, but care enough about what I'm saying to want to watch them every week or want to know when I do something new. That is slightly overwhelming, but it's in a good way. I guess as I went along, my goals kind of changed from wanting to create a platform that was fun, but for the main motivation of gaining followers, to wanting to connect with people in the ecofiction community and wanting to learn everything that I could about ecofiction and all the related genres and subgenres and its potential for science communication. And in fact, it actually inspired some new projects for me, which are very different to anything that I ever thought I would write. So instead of being a means to an end, the channel kind of became an end in and of itself, if that makes any sense. I'm aware that ecofiction is still quite a niche genre, so maybe the expectation that I could focus on ecofiction and gain a massive following might have been a little naive looking back, I think. But like I said, that's not my motivation anymore. The conversations I'm having, the connections that I'm making, those are the real motivation now. And I think that is the very best thing that's come out of this channel. If I'm completely honest, when I fantasized about being an author, I was of course a best-selling author with one of the big publishing houses. I had an agent, I made a living writing, and not a bad living at that. Now, when I fantasize about being an author, I measure success by having written something that makes people think, that allows people to make that emotional connection with our relationship to our natural environment, and to have built a platform that I could use to do some good. That goal is much more under my control. That's something concrete that I can work towards, that is entirely in my hands. And I like that. To celebrate my first 6 months and to take a step towards that goal, I am launching my Patreon page. Patreon is a site where you can offer support to your favorite artists and creators. The creators offer perks to their followers who are willing to contribute monthly, so the artists and creators can keep doing their art and can commit more time to their platforms and interactions with their community. In my case, I am offering the following perks. A book club where patrons can request books monthly, which will then appear as reviews on my channel. Access to a patron-only Discord where we talk about anything and everything ecofiction. We discuss that month's book, and you have access to me and to request topics for me to discuss on my channel, which of course will get you a shout out in that video. I will also be posting on that Discord all the new resources that I find for ecofiction and science communication, so if you want to learn more about this topic, then this is a great place to come to combine forces. If you're a writer, you're more than welcome to use this Discord to brainstorm ideas and get feedback, get some support from the community. I think a sense of community is so important when you're struggling to motivate yourself to write or to create. I will also be offering critiques on ecofiction works in progress if you would like my honest opinion on something that you have written. I was so scared to start this Patreon, to be honest, because high imposter syndrome, why would anybody want to pay to hear me talk even more? But I'm taking this 6-month milestone to take a look at what I've created and acknowledge that, you know what, that's pretty cool. And maybe there are people out there who think it's cool too and want me to keep doing it. And if not, what's the worst that could happen? People don't donate, and I continue as normal. But the real thing that gave me the push to start the Patreon now is that we are in the middle of our Conservation in Ecofiction series, and each tier of the Patreon will include a bigger and bigger donation to a conservation organization. To start with, these donations will be going to Francesca Trotman's marine conservation organization, Love the Oceans. If you missed my interview with her a couple weeks ago, I'll leave a link up here somewhere and also down in the description below. I would definitely go check that out. They're doing some amazing work and I really want to be able to support them. Of course, you could just go to their website and donate directly to them, but then you would miss out on what I'm hoping is going to turn into quite the community over on the Patreon Discord. Why miss out on that and the book club? You'd miss out on the book club. Get more bang for your buck, right? This brings me to the part of the video where I talk about my future plans and what I am super excited about. First of all, you will already have noticed in the last month or two that I've had the opportunity to welcome some very special people onto the Ecofictology channel, doing interviews with them and having conversations, and that is something that I absolutely want to continue. Talking with authors, creators, scientists, conservationists, anyone who contributes to raising awareness of our environment through the medium of storytelling. I think it's so important to invite views other than my own, and I've learned so much from talking with them, and I've been so inspired that I do not want to stop. I want to invite my patrons to be part of this as well, so I will be posting my interview schedule in advance so patrons can submit questions that they would like me to ask whoever I am interviewing. I will then incorporate these questions into the interview at the end in a Q&A session so you can get your answers directly from them. Where the interviewee is an author, I will be making my book review available early for early access to my patrons so they can be ready to submit their questions. I will say here that I do have some interviews already pre-filmed, so this perk will be starting mid-November, but for the ones that I have already filmed, if you sign up to be a patron and you have some specific questions, I can definitely try and get those answered for you separately. Second, and this is really big for me because once it's said, filmed, posted, and out on the internet, I really do have to deliver, don't I? In the future, I would absolutely love to talk about my own journey as an ecofiction author on this channel, and of course bring you some of that writing. I have a couple new projects that are just simmering away back here on the back burner while I juggle my PhD and the channel and my current work in progress. The poor thing has been hanging on for years. I will be delving into the realm of short stories in the hopes of creating a series that helps to communicate science that's being published every day, science that scientists want you to know about. Once I start this, a new tier will appear on the Patreon, so patrons can get early access to anything I've written and to those videos, and will have the exclusive privilege to completely tear it to shreds on the patron-only Discord if they so wish. Just kidding, please don't do that. This is the safe space. As I said, this is a hope for me in the future, but this is one hell of a way to hold myself accountable, don't you think? So basically what I want to achieve with this Patreon is chiefly a sense of community within ecofiction and storytelling, where we can chat privately without it being all over Twitter, and a place where you can come and find people to nerd out over nature with. And of course, it's a way for me to use my platform to do some good and support a wonderful marine conservation organization like Love the Oceans. Alright, I'm done rambling about how much fun I'm having on this channel. Thank you all again so much for your support and your enthusiasm. I hope to get to know many of you much better over on the Patreon Discord. Otherwise, keep popping up in those comments and discussions below and on Twitter and on Instagram. Like I said, you make my flippin' day. Next week, I am welcoming another very good friend to the channel, Sally Snow, one of the executive directors of the Large Marine Vertebrates Research Institute Philippines, or affectionately shortened to LMAVE because that is a mouthful. I worked with Sally for a year in the Philippines. I am calling in all of my contacts here. Sally is a legend and never far from her camera, using the medium of film and photography to tell stories about conservation and wildlife. I do need to add here that this video is already filmed, so unfortunately I cannot incorporate your questions, but if you become a patron and you send me questions, I can absolutely get those to Sally and get your answers. Definitely drop by next week for my conversation with Sally, and I will see you then, ecofictologists.